Never ever have enough time to play it all. You know everybody wants to.
Hey guys, welcome back to Otter Creek in Rio Grande. If you've been paying attention, watching the last few videos, you know that I really haven't done much work at all on the railroad for the last three, maybe the whole month of June, give or take. And I've been concentrating on operations. I had some family down. You may have seen that video. And, there might be a few of you that clicked on that video thinking you were going to see some actual operations instead of just, some footage of family and trains running around. So what I'm gonna do now, since I've been in kind of operations mode and just enjoying the railroad as it is right now, I'm gonna go ahead and do an operating session and try and keep it as succinct as possible, which might not be possible. But the scenario is, what happens if this stage train, and you can't see it, but the stage train down here in West Staging Yard, what happens if they arrive at Frying Pan at the exact same time? That's something that could happen. I deliberately kept it from happening during my operation sessions with the family just because I didn't want to have to kind of deal with it. So now I'm gonna make that happen just to kind of see what problems might arise in Frying Pan with an East train and a West train arriving at the same time. Just a quick overview of how things are kind of working right now. I've got 6 locations on the railroad. And since I started on the west end, I'm considering this location 1. Location 2 would be Silver Gulch. Location 3 is Frying Pan. Location 4 is Maroon Creek. Location 5 is what I'm calling Jerome Park Staging, just a staging yard. And then location 6 is Leadville, which is just staging for the far east end. So the way trains work right now, this one down here, since it's starting in location 1 and ending in location 6, that's train 16. And the adverse is true from this train, which is starting in 6, ending in 1, it's train 61. And then my turn trains have 3 numbers. So if you're starting over here in Jerome Park and then going to Maroon Creek, that would be the 545, indicating that it turns around and goes back. So that's kind of the overall view of how I've accomplished train names that kind of makes sense to me that way. It might change in the future, but right now it seems to be working. I make use of JMRI Operations Pro, and I'm not going to get into any of the nuts and bolts with that, but here are our 2 trains. This is the 61, and you can see this is the train as it exists in the staging yard. Then you've got work in Maroon Creek, work in Frying Pan, work in Silver Gulch, and then you're finally going to set everything out in Grand Junction down here in the west staging. And then this train is doing just the opposite. You've got all of your standing order of your cars right now in west staging. Then you got work in Silver Gulch, Frying Pan, Maroon Creek, and then you're gonna set everything out in Leadville. So we're gonna run 2 trains. Now, one of the cool things about the way this works is that even though I'm only running 2 trains, because I've got yard operations going on in Frying Pan, you kind of by default end up with work in frying pan that a third operator, you know, if you had an operator for train 16, an operator for train 61, then in frying pan you'd have a third operator that can handle all of the car moves associated with both those trains. So this is car moves associated with train 61, and you can see train 61 is picking up the 6056 flat car, and then train 61 is going to be setting out all of these others, either in the south yard or the west yard. So the yard operator can have this car ready to go before the train gets there, I think is the ideal. And then this is the work for train 16. And you can see that train 16 is picking up 2 and dropping off 2. And then the program also, you can look at this by track moves alone. So you can see here, if I'm already in the south yard doing work, I know that both of these cars are being picked up. One's for the 16, one's for the 61. And then as associated with the west yard, you can see train 16 is picking up 1, and then it's setting out 1, and then train 61 is setting out 2. So, you know, to begin with, all you're going to pay attention to as the yard operator is the blues, because blues are pickups. So the strategy is to get those picked up and placed somewhere in the yard where it's easy and quick for the incoming train to nab them up and keep on going. Now, one of the reasons I chose to do this like I am right now is because it just so happens that frying pan is really devoid of any cars at the moment. So I've only got 3 cars I got 2 in the west yard, 1 in the south yard. Should be really easy to deal with those moves and not be overly complex. This video probably stands to take a while. I'm not sure how all the editing is going to work. I'm going to try and kind of show everything as concisely as possible, but at the same time, try and make it enjoyable with some music and some good trains running. So grab a cup of coffee and we're going to see how this works. Okay, now the way this should work, so I went ahead and I've got these two cars right here. They're staged and ready to go for the Eastbound train 16, so they can be picked up on the back end of that train. Now this car, the 6056, will be picked up on the back end of train 16. And if there were any cars in front of it, which would be reefers, because from here to there is kind of my icing track, I probably would have went ahead and set it out on this track, but since there's nothing obstructing it, I just went ahead and left it where it's at, and it should work. So the way I'm thinking this is going to work is when train 61 will come in and stop right here on what I consider Route 1, and then train 16 will come in on the same track, Route 1, and stop right in here somewhere. And then I'm gonna have both of those engines come into the engine yard, get coal, and probably go ahead and fill up with water. I'm gonna have to pretend that there's some kind of water spout in there that's serviced by the water tower down there. And then while those trains are being serviced, the 41 will handle all of the moves associated with the train cars coming off of the trains and going back onto the trains. So that should be interesting. I think it's gonna work okay. I kind of have an idea in my mind how it's gonna work. We'll just see how it's gonna go. Right now, let's head over to the 61 and see what's going over there. 482 and the 453 are getting some on-the-road servicing, water and coal. And now the 41 is going to handle all the car moves for both of these trains while that servicing is being done. Now, I have no idea if this is the way it really would have worked. Probably not, but this is what I'm running with on my railroad, and I think it's kind of cool. 41 has pulled all of the set outs off of the pass-through trains and added the pickups onto them. So now it's just a matter of the 482 and the 453 getting back on the road. Well, now that train 16 and train 61 are back in their stalls, I'm gonna go back here to Frying Pan and get all of the set outs on their appropriate yard tracks. Well, that concludes this operating session. 2 trains, east staging and west staging, converging here at Frying Pan. Worked out pretty good, so it's definitely doable. I would say the only issue that might arise is the amount of time that it takes to make those swaps, and in the space provided here, between the aisle on this side or the layout on this side and the outside, if you had 3 people in here, that might be a little congested. So it might just be one of those things where instead of doing engine yard ops with sanding, ash pits and that kind of thing, you just sit down and take a 10-minute break. I don't know. All yet to be determined for future operations, which, at some point I will probably open up operating sessions to volunteers. I don't know when it'll be. Maybe, depending on what takes place between now and, October or November, I might try and do a more serious operating session with a couple of people around that time. So thanks for watching Otter Creek and Rio Grande. Stay tuned. There will be more content coming your way.